Let's bring it on to this weekend. It comes on the back of Miami.
Why not the tits? These are the top stories from the 2023 Monaco Grand Prix. Max Verstappen domed 19 men for 2 hours on live television, and everyone who watched agrees that it was much better production value than when Monaco used to produce it in-house. It was a very exciting Grand Prix Sunday, with rain coming late in the race. Alonso made the mistake of going in dry, but then quickly realized his error and went back once it was already wet. A mistake I'm told I commonly make in bed. One of the biggest stories to come out of this race was how Alonso possibly missed a chance at winning because he pit for dry tires and then immediately had to go back and switch to inters. But I think that the real success story here is that he pulled such a big gap on Ocon that he was able to pit twice without losing the position. Quali was also an unmitigated success, proving to be one of the most exciting and closest qualifying sessions possibly ever. I guarantee this quali session will be cited in every argument about whether or not Monaco is relevant in the future. Esteban Ocon not only reminded us that he exists, but that he's still relevant, setting an incredible quali time and then following it up with a podium. Given his past record of exceptional performances, the next time we can expect him to do something similarly impressive will be at a race sometime in 2025. Both McLarens finished in the points today, but the real story coming out of the McLaren garage this weekend is that both Lando Norris and Tom Holland were seen together in public for the first time today, proving that they weren't just one guy Hannah Montana-ing it. Mercedes brought their exciting new package of upgrades and finished exactly where we would have expected them to finish with the old package. Even worse, Hamilton was still on the radio all weekend complaining about how hard the car was to control. Hamilton was quoted as saying, "This car is harder to control than my bowels after I ate all that Taco Bell in Miami." In stark contrast to last year, former king of the streets Sergio Perez had nothing to celebrate this weekend, which came as great news to his wife. Charles Leclerc had yet another depressing weekend, qualifying in third but then getting a 3-place grid penalty for blocking Lando Norris in the tunnel during quali. In unrelated news, Italy announced that they have solved their country's future energy needs when they unveiled a power plant that is fueled by the unique suffering that can only be experienced by an exceptional athlete being repeatedly failed by their team. Carlos Sainz failed to check himself and therefore wrecked himself on the back of Ocon's car, ripping off his front wing end plate. It would be easy to criticize him for this or for not pitting when his team told him to, but please keep in mind how difficult it must be to have to handle all of your own strategy while also driving the car. You see, most teams have strategists that the driver can rely on to make decisions for them while they're in the race, but Ferrari doesn't. So all of that falls to the driver to double check all of the team's decisions before actually agreeing with them, because you can't be certain that they'll be right. And we need to cut him some slack, because at this point it would be crazy for him not to question every strategy call he receives. Everyone was expecting at least one safety car this weekend given all the shunts that happened in free practice and qualifying, but it turned out to be a pretty clean race. And on that note, the Canadian Positivity Guy is back to give a very special Canadian summary of the Grand Prix.
Well, you've heard the British guys enough, so why don't you listen to somebody else for a change?
I just want to say congratulations to the entire Formula One grid for going an entire race without a red flag. After the fiasco in Australia, it's nice to see that they've learned how to stop playing bumper cars, unlike the Indy 500 gong show today where they had 3 red flags in the last few laps of the race, because apparently the Mario Kart strategy of never using the brakes is a viable path to victory in that series. There are some motorsports where crashing is part of the spectacle, and it looked like F1 was about to go down that path, but I'm happy to say that it's back to being about world-class driving. Or at least, now that Mick and Nick are out of the series, we can no longer expect a big smash every race. Unlike your mom, who I smash every race while your dad's off watching at the bar. And now back to your regularly scheduled programming. Before the race, all of F1 media was going on and on and on about how Monaco was supposed to be the place where Red Bull could be beaten. I swear I watched at least 3 videos saying that Monaco is the place where the Red Bull's vulnerabilities could be exploited. That vulnerability's name? Sergio Perez. Everyone who was hoping to see literally anyone other than Red Bull win today got the closest thing that we're probably going to get to hope in 2023, with Alonso missing pole position by just 0.08 and then losing the race by almost 30 seconds. So Red Bull's race car did show its vulnerabilities today, because it only won by a large margin and not an obscene one. 2 of the 3 races of the famed Triple Crown of Motorsports were held today, with the Monaco Grand Prix in the morning and the Indy 500 in the afternoon. While Monaco was a relatively clean race, the Indy 500 was a 3 red flag massacre, proving once again that you can't buy a crown with the gold price, only the iron price. Another thing the Indy 500 showed today is that it's possible to have safe refueling in an open-wheel racing series. Sergio Perez's strong start to the season suddenly going limp has made me look like a freaking idiot for making this video. For the poll of the week this week, I asked whose sabbatical will be longer, Daniel Ricciardo or Mika Hakkinen? Of the 1,900 respondents, 36% said Ricciardo and 64% said Hakkinen. But what I think most people who are responding to the poll didn't realize is what this is actually asking is who will live longer, because neither of them is going to be returning to Formula 1. It's hot as balls here in Canada right now, and the room where I normally record my F1 videos is being renovated, and the attic that I've been doing this season out of is just sweltering and not really possible to film comfortably in. Big ups to Rocket Powered Mohawk for making it acceptable to film F1 videos in your car. If I couldn't do it in here right now, I'd be screwed. Here's a little bonus spicy joke for everyone who watches to the end of the video. Lance Stroll once again failed to score points in the second fastest car on the grid, making him the only person I'm aware of who has made a career out of fucking his father.